to a casual person, this is probably nonsense. What people want to know is when you load up into ranked, what are we using? None of these GAs that are like, oh, well, you're using this. Well, what if this person doesn't watch the CDL consistently? Or what if this person isn't on Twitter, just scrolling and trying to keep up with everything?
I don't know. I like the way the game is now. I don't really think it's that big of a deal. I don't think they need to be doing anything crazy. I do hope that they add more maps to the map pool as we go on. Like, hopefully grind will make its way in when it gets added.
Welcome everyone to episode 210 of the COD Casuals. We're your host, Justin.
And I'm Mike.
How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing great, bro. Doing great.
Yeah.
Yes, very good. Yeah, I mean, vacation now has started for me. It's like,
I forgot about that. February break.
Dude. Yep. Got the whole week off now, so I'm big chilling.
Mhm.
I mean, dude, Friday was a real struggle. It was Valentine's Day, and the kids were all like bringing in all their
Mhm.
I'm like, what the hell is this for? They got like, it's crazy, dude. Those kids, they go harder than most adults for Valentine's Day. Like, they got these insane baskets and like, it's for my boyfriend,
Mhm.
bringing all stuff. So it's just candy everywhere, like in my room, these kids are having like tons of chocolates and stuff. And I'm just like, look, I'm over this. I just need to get out of here.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was pretty much just like a, screw it kind of day. But yeah, we got through it. And then I was just stoked, I got I got the whole week off. I'm still doing my private lessons
Mhm.
um tomorrow and Wednesday and Friday, but it's like only for a few hours, so it's not that big. But
Mhm.
I'm up at my brother's right now because I'm cat sitting. It's
Yeah.
the dude, it's funny we were saying, I was like, you had a different background, but the bed's the long way. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
instead of the other way. So yeah, I'm kicking it here, but yeah, I mean things have been really good. So I'm happy. I'm chilling. Um
Nice.
I was happy this weekend too, bro. Happy this weekend, man. We had some good games going on with
We
the
did. We did
CDL.
have a lot of good
Yeah.
games.
Yeah. So, but I've been chilling though, man. But how about you? We'll get into the
Uh,
games later.
I've been good. Weather has been like complete garbage in New England, like the
Hmm.
worst type of weather that you can have. If you live up here, like it's not just snow and rain. It's like that like icy rain and
Yeah.
snow. So when
Yeah.
you go outside and step, it's like the slop
Right. Right.
like everywhere, and then overnight it gets cold, so everything just freezes over and it's just all ice everywhere. And
Right.
yeah, I've had to deal with some home ownership problems that I'm like, dude,
Oh,
this just
damn. Really?
sucks. Well, it's not like nothing happened to the house. It's
Oh,
just,
okay. Good.
you know, when you're a kid or like when you live with your parents, like you don't really have to worry about any of it. But
Right.
then you have your own place and it's like, oh, you have to do this
Right.
or like it's gonna get ruined. See, and
Right.
that's an advantage of like renting and having an apartment. You don't have to deal with any of it. I
Right.
mean, maybe you have to shovel the driveway or whatever because a plow like block the driveway off or whatever. But like regardless, you don't need to worry about if you know anything like goes wrong because the landlord should take care of all that stuff.
Right. Like I was thinking that with like, so the house that I got, it's like they've got these brick steps that go up, to the
Mhm.
front door. And dude, these winters, especially with the shoveling and like they take a beating.
Mhm.
But yeah, like if a brick gets knocked out of place, I just hit up my landlord. I'm like, hey, dude, send him some photos. I'm like, dude, this needs to be fixed. Like I had some issues. Same thing. It was like a towel rack in one of the bathrooms. It's like come out like one of the sides there. It just needs like, some plaster to be put in there and seal it back up. But again, I just sent him the photos. He's like, we're going to send someone this week to do it, obviously no charge. But for
Mhm.
you, it's like if something like that happens, you're like, God damn it.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you're
That's
like, okay, do I call somebody? Do I like YouTube how cast how to do this? Like, what do I
yeah.
do? You
That's
know?
that's just home ownership, and it's funny because you know, I mean, right now buying homes is like insanely expensive, but people are like, man, like I really want a home, blah blah blah. I'm like, I think some people really need to understand that I don't think everyone is built to have a home. And that's not like a diss or anything. Like, if everybody could afford one, I really think some people are way better off just renting because people think renting's throwing away money. Um,
Right.
I don't think it's that. I think it's like buying time. That's what it's doing. But
Mhm.
I'm like, when you rent, like, you don't need to deal with any of this stupid stuff.
No.
When you own, yeah, like when your I don't know, when your gutters get clogged and they freeze over and that water, doesn't go through. It's like, all right, who the fuck do I call? Like,
Right,
like, do I go online and research, and then after, like, what do I even look up? Like
right.
plumbers or like gutter people, like whatever. But yeah, was so far the first like snowstorm, I guess, and like ice and shit that I've had to deal with, and it's been like every weekend or every couple of days, like it would snow,
Yeah.
rain, freeze over, and
Well,
yeah, it's been very annoying, especially yesterday.
oh, yeah, dude, and, like, I don't know if you're having to write down, dude, today, it's so windy.
Yeah.
It's in like,
Yeah.
I hear, like, the house here, it's just like,
Yeah.
it's insane, you know? And I went back, I had to go back to, my house there to go get the stuff here, um, and it's like, dude, my house in, like, that area, it looks like a war went down. Like,
Mhm.
there is snow everywhere. They haven't really done a good job plowing my road because it's, like, some side road, and
Mhm.
it's exactly what you're saying, like, the people around there didn't do a great job really of, shoveling in the first place. All that water from the rain we had, it just stayed there, and now it's
Yeah.
frozen. Dude, when I was walking into my house, I was, like, so careful. 'Cause I'm like, "Dude, you could
Mhm.
fucking" if you're an old person living
Oh,
around
yeah,
there,
yeah.
dude, there's no
So,
chance. Like,
yeah.
I think about that. It's like, dude, you couldn't get in here.
Mhm.
It'd be impossible for you. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm able-bodied, and I'm over here, like, one
Yeah.
step at a time being like, "Man, one wrong move or, like, thinking I get a little bit too confident,
Mhm.
I'm toast," you
Yeah.
know?
No, like so I live in a cul-de-sac, and the plow comes, right, plows, they don't care about like cul-de-sacs, and they don't
Yeah.
care about just side streets in general.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
so plow came, did a really shitty job, which I'm still blaming the plow. Like, I don't care. I know
Mhm.
for them, they're like being really careful so they don't like destroy a mailbox. That's
Right.
what they're worried about. So they don't go as close as they can, obviously, to the curb,
Right.
which, all right, whatever. But so I live on like a hill too, which it's a good thing and also a bad thing. But so when everything melts, like all the water will just run down the hill, which is really nice.
You
But
could
when
yeah,
it,
you never have flooding, your house is never gonna get flooded.
yeah, yeah. But when there's a bunch of snow and it's all melting and the water's running down, but then overnight shit just freezes over. Yeah, like that's a problem. So the plow came um after I shoveled, right? And the way that the plow, moved all the snow, it blocked my front driveway like again.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I got to go and freaking clean all this up. And this
And
was
it's not like a little thing. Like,
no, no. And
it's a lot of
this is
snow.
when it was raining like too. Like
Yeah, yeah,
it was
yeah.
all yesterday. Like it was
Yep.
just pouring rain and I'm like, okay, if I don't go do this now, it's just going to freeze over and I won't be able
Yeah.
to do it. So, yeah, front driveway was blocked, and then on top of that, the in front of my mailbox and the curb was just all blocked.
Mhm.
And personally, I think I shouldn't have to do with that, but I guess like it's whoever owns a place is responsible for that, even though it's the town.
Right,
I'm like,
right.
all right, okay, whatever. So the first time I didn't do it. This time I went to go do it because I put my trash can recycling bin there, and the garbage people are like, "Nah, we're not getting it because there's ice there and stuff." So they just didn't take my stuff.
That's insane.
So now my garbage can is like it's full. So I
Yeah.
was like, okay, I got to make sure that I like do the best that I can and shovel everything.
Right, right.
And so long story, I went shoveled it all, pouring rain. Like it's just coming down and the snow super heavy, whatever. Wake up today, look outside, shit's just frozen. It's just
Yeah,
all ice in front. I'm like,
yeah.
okay, this is really, really annoying.
Right,
Like
right.
I gotta wake up and I have to clear this ice because if I don't, they won't get to my mailbox and they can't get to my trash can and my recycling bin. So
Yeah.
I've been just like outside the past 2 days, just like putting salt out. And like I have a bunch of when you own a home, you have like random tools
Things.
that you
Yeah.
realize that, "Oh,
Yeah.
I should probably have this."
Right.
And so I have a bunch of salt, and I've just been putting salt everywhere and waiting it for
Right.
it to melt the ice, and then I have this giant, like, ice scraper. It's like a big wooden stick with
Yeah.
a sharp, ice pick at the end, and I'm just going through, like, breaking all the ice, trying
Yeah.
to scrape everything,
Yeah.
and finally got, like, all of it out of the way, so hopefully tomorrow it's good, but yeah, it's just been an absolute pain, and my neighbors across the street, um, they're lucky, so their house is, south facing, so they get all the sun,
Right.
and my house, which I've learned, uh, is north facing. You don't want a north facing house if you're up here
Right.
because if it snows, like now, uh, you don't have the sun helping you melt everything faster.
Right.
It
Right.
just
Right.
sits,
Right.
and
Yeah.
that's what sucks because so all the snow and ice built up in front of my house, it just doesn't melt
Yeah.
until it gets, to higher temp. My backyard, though, everything just melts there. But, like,
Yeah.
I don't need that right now. I need the front of the house melted.
It's yeah, it's funny you say that because, like, where I'm at right now, um, the sun was just, like, beaming down. So, like, the little path that I went and shoveled, because I was out there last night or, well, yesterday with you. Like, I was getting drenched in the
Mhm.
rain. Um, but it was same thing. I'm like, "I have to be proactive about it and get this done now, otherwise tomorrow it's gonna be, like, impossible to do," you know? But that thankfully, because of, like, I guess, it must be one of those where you said it's north facing that it gets the sun,
South.
or south facing
Yeah.
rather, yeah. Like, that whole path, it's, like, no problem to walk on, you know?
Exactly,
But
yeah.
even those little spots, though, those little spots that I didn't totally, like, fully clear off, now they're ice, you
Yeah.
know? So then when I went to my place, the place I mainly live, bro, ain't nobody shovel yesterday. Ain't not one of them people got out there. And I'm like, "You sons of bitches, like, look what you did." Like,
Yeah.
if we're gonna try to leave or anybody's gonna be doing that, there's, like, a good chance you're gonna die doing this,
Mhm.
you know? Like, I'm so in that case, I just had this conversation. I'm so proactive about that stuff. I can't let, like, if it's snowing that day and
Mhm.
it stops, I'm like, "Okay, I'm gonna be out there right then." Like, that's
Yeah.
when I gotta do this. I'm not gonna be like, "Oh, I'm gonna wait till tomorrow,"
Mhm.
Like,
No, it's
fuck
because like,
that. It's
you
gonna be a
have to.
disaster. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You like,
It's gonna be terrible.
you have to do it that day. Like, I
Right,
mean, you can
right.
give it time, but, like, you cannot wait until, overnight because it's just gonna freeze, and
Yeah,
when it freezes, it's over. Like, you
yeah.
can't either you throw salt everywhere or you go at it with an ice pick like I did, and it sucks. Like,
Right, right.
you can't do anything.
Yeah,
So, yeah, my neighbors, like, they're so lucky with the sun. Like,
yeah.
I
Those bastards.
personally, like, I never understood why it mattered all like, the way that your house faces, like, will raise the value of the home, like,
I
around
I
here, and
I
I'm
didn't
like,
even think about that, but it
yeah,
makes sense.
yeah, it does because, not just because of the snow, but, like, for the aesthetic of the house. Like, so if you have,
Right.
like, gardens, like, bushes, trees, and stuff, obviously, the house with direct sunlight, they're gonna have, like, flourishing plants and stuff.
Yeah.
So my house is technically it's gonna be harder to maintain the bushes and stuff in front of my house because it won't get direct sunlight all the time.
Right, 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 right.
Which I mean, the people before, like all the stuff in front of my house is like easy to grow.
Yeah.
But yeah, what
But it's
not
something you
having
don't even
direct
think about.
not having direct sunlight when it's snowing sucks. Because the little sun that you get, even if it's like 20 to 30 degrees outside, that'll melt the snow still.
Right,
And if you don't have that at all, it's not gonna melt anything.
right.
So, yeah, it sucks.
These are the New England problems we're dealing with, bro.
Yeah,
This is the shit, you
yeah.
know? It's a great place to live, but then it's, like, times like these where you
It's
just
this.
can't stand it. You're like, "Bro, it's
I'd
the
much
worst thing in the
yeah.
world."
I'd much rather have 2 feet or, like, I'd much rather just have snow, no rain,
Yeah,
or just straight up rain.
yeah.
Like, I hate this mix of it because it makes everything gross.
So, last thing I'll say in this, it was funny, my dad, he just came back from, Turks and Caicos with his girlfriend, and they were there for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he comes back here and he's like, "Just made it back." He's like, "Wow, what a difference." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yep." He's like, "Couldn't make it up my driveway," you know? And I'm like, "Man, he's got like like a decent sized SUV. Like, shouldn't wouldn't be a problem. For me with my car, it'd be tough."
Mhm.
But for him, he's like, "Oh, dude, couldn't make it up. Had to go park it down there. Had to like, do some more shoveling and sanding and so Yeah, because he throws a ton of sand down for traction,
Mhm,
So when I go over there sometimes, it's just like it's a fucking beach, like the
mhm.
whole driveway to get up it. Yeah, but he's like, "Oh, I was on the water, like, where it was, 80 and sunny, and there's the blue water and all this beautiful stuff, and wearing shorts, reading a book." He's like, "No, I'm back here."
Yeah,
He's like, "This sucks." I'm
yeah,
like, "Yeah, bro."
yeah. Now you're
You know?
not going outside.
Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, welcome to reality, homie. Like,
Yeah,
get your head out of the fucking clouds here."
yeah,
Um, but yeah, what are you gonna do? I mean, it's just it's kind of the way it is. But what I was gonna say though is when we kind of jumped to it because we actually just got done with it yesterday, dude. This was a big week of matches for Major Two. So this is the first weekend that we have going into this new split after Major One.
mhm,
And we talked about it in 209 with Pred coming back. This is the main thing that we got to talk about here because there is a huge amount of morons out there
yeah.
that are spewing bullshit about this. And um yeah, I think it's a complete joke. So, if you for some reason don't know that Pred joined back onto OpTic in Hook's place, that's what he did. And this was his first weekend back, and a lot of people were expecting a lot of stuff. Definitely to be like in winning form or at least showing good strides. Um, I remember we had talked about there may have been growing pains with this team. Like there could have been the chance of that because, Pred hasn't been on the team in a while and probably hasn't been playing a ton, if I had to imagine. Um, but they played two matches. They played FaZe, and I guess people were shocked by this that they got 3-0'd by them.
Yeah,
Um, I was not really. Like,
mhm,
I kinda was in the sense that maybe, surprised they didn't take a map from them. But FaZe also just won this tournament, like Major 1. And they did lose, I think, to was it Vancouver that FaZe lost to? They lost,
yeah,
like, a game 5 to them, I think. Um, which, same thing, I wasn't even tweaking on that. People were like, "Man, FaZe sucks." I was like, "Well, whatever." They just had it was a close game.
off
And,
day.
exactly, that's how it
Yeah,
goes. Yeah. Well, then they go out to Optic and they 3-0 them, and people are like, calling for Kenny's head. And then they played yesterday, and they played, Minnesota Rocker, and they got 3-0'd.
mhm,
And now this is where I haven't watched the flank yet on it. I'll watch it maybe tonight or tomorrow. This is where the alarms are going off on, the quote unquote Optic fans on Twitter,
yeah.
where they're losing their minds thinking that this team is a disaster and isn't gonna get it together. Um, what do you think about this? Do you think is this a call for concern with Optic, or do you think it's like, it is what it is, like, it's not that big of a deal?
No, I mean, like, the like, when Pred was on the roster in the beginning, right, in the beginning of Black Ops 6, they still didn't look at peak form, you know?
Right.
So, in my head, when he came back, they kinda just regressed back to that roster. But these guys are world champs. So personally, I'm not stressed about it. It's also, yeah, they went 0-6 map count for this weekend. Honestly, I thought they would win at least a map against Rocker, but they're not having that honeymoon phase. Realistically, is it a honeymoon phase because these guys have all teamed together? I guess not. But I'm not worried. I mean, everyone's gunning for Kenny right now because he did have a point 0.6.
Your boy, Justin.
Yeah, he did have a point 0.6 against the Rocker, which okay, that's like
It's bad.
that's bad. That's very
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, yeah,
He
yeah.
knows it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows it, but like it's just an adjustment period, and like yeah, the Rocker they're such a random team. Like always go to map 5. Their teamwork is really, really good. If you make a mistake against them, um, they'll try to capitalize on it. And they're one of those teams where they can all go negative and still win the game because of their
Right.
teamwork. So, if Optic, they're not all shooting together. And Pred, to be honest, this weekend probably looked like the best player on the team, surprisingly enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think right now everyone's gunning for Kenny. I say leave Kenny alone. That guy he's gonna come in clutch again, like later on in like one of the majors. Like he always does. And the Optic
Right.
major's next. Like he's not gonna stay a point 0.6 this entire split. But, I get it's 2 games and there's not that much time to improve quickly, but no, you don't get rid of him. You leave the team as is, they're gonna figure it out.
Yeah, that's how I feel. I don't understand the people who want to just immediately jump to replacing him, because we say it all the time, and it's pathetic that we have to, because the people who listen and maybe like the other people who just don't, they still don't understand that who are you going to put in his place? There's nobody. There's nobody who's going to fill that role like he does, who, like you said, brought them to their a world championship, like the first one they've had in a very, very long time. So it's like the only one that they got back in IW, you know? Um, yeah, I think it's just really as simple as like he had a bad weekend and he's playing really bad, like you just call it like it is. He's playing bad. Um, and I was happy to see that he tweeted that out. He was just like unacceptable from me, like totally my fault, of how I'm playing. He's like, just got to lock it in and get better. Um, and, you know, if people know, like, Kenny's been around for a long time, he's been playing for a long time, like, the dude knows how to lock it in. And I think Nate Shot said that too with him. There, where he made some comment about him, like, he can be the best player and he can be the worst player.
Mm,
And Kenny, like, laughed at him, was like, "Yeah, I gotta lock the fuck in." But, like, here you go. Now you're seeing, like, the really bad side of him, where he is
mm,
struggling a lot for whatever reason.
yeah.
Um,
I mean, the when I was watching it, I forget. I think Nameless said some stat. He had like 90 deaths in the whole series, which is
yeah,
dude, 90 deaths is insane. I mean, he did go point 0.6, right? But he's
in
also
3 matches.
yeah, yeah, 90 deaths, and he's an AR. So in my head, I'm like, he's clearly trying to do too much.
Right,
Like as an AR, dying 90 times is already a lot in 3 maps, but being an AR and you're dying that much is insane. And I can understand it's probably, he probably feels like every time he spawns in, he has to go and make a play because Dashy, Shotzi, or Pred, they tried making a play and they didn't wait. And someone died. So now he feels like he has to go get a two-piece to make it like even, you know? And then
right,
he dies and it like I've said it before, you want when you're playing, you want it to feel like an assembly line. Everything just like gets filled every time you respawn. And right now with OpTic, that's not happening because someone's trying to do too much and they die. And now Kenny's coming uh off spawn and he feels like he needs to get two to fill in that spot again.
right.
And that's just what's happening.
Yeah, there's just a lack of cohesion as a team right now. That's really what it is. And like you're saying too, he's getting put in situations where they're almost like unwinnables, and that's how it goes. Yeah, I I don't know. I think the people who jump for his head and they want to get him replaced, they just don't think about it logically and don't really see that these players are going to have these up and down moments in their career. You know, I mean, man, like think about even like selling him at the beginning of the year. I mean, like he was bad. Like he was
Mhm.
he was nowhere near as good as he was. And same thing with like, he's one of our favorites, but Abizi. I mean, man, he's always had those like up and downs throughout his career. And like the last, few CODs, I'd say, where there's some where he's doing really well and vice versa. Like all those guys do, you know. No one's gonna be talking about Kenny's bad first 2 matches of Major Two if they go and win Major Two or Major Three. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like no one's going to even be talking about that. Um, and the potential for them to do that is like very likely, like they could absolutely do it. Um, I just think he had a bad weekend. And again, against FaZe, I don't put a lot of stock into people playing FaZe right now, um, regarding like a loss to them, because I think it's just one of those teams where, I mean, them and Thieves, I think it's hard to argue that FaZe and Thieves are the best teams in the league, and then there's everybody else.
Mhm.
I really think those teams are just, I don't know. They play the game so much better. Like everything about them, they understand it way better than most other teams. So if you lose to them, it's like, yeah, you want to obviously put up a fight against them. Like I remember seeing Octane talking about that. He's like, I knew when he was on that Surge team back in the day. He's like, I knew there were teams that are better than us. But we went into the match thinking like, oh, we can beat them. But
Yeah.
if we lost, we're just like, all right, whatever. Like, let's go next. Like, no big deal. Screw that match. Um, but yeah, OpTic obviously just the amount of money and the amount of personnel that they have, like with superstar talent. Yeah, them getting 3-0'd by FaZe, I'm sure that was tough.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, those FaZe and Thieves they're just ahead. They're ahead of
Yeah.
the game. Uh, and again, OpTic just had another roster change. Like it threw them off again. Now they have to kind of relearn everything again. And even with the talent with PRED, like that chemistry just doesn't come right away. And first match back, you're playing against FaZe. They just won Major One, and they're coming off the loss to Surge, like you said, like that's a pretty tough spot. Uh, and then you would think they would bounce back against Rocker, but obviously they didn't. They still have the growing pains, and it's one weekend. What sucks is like you can say it's one weekend, but there's only a couple weeks till the major.
Right.
And I
Yeah.
I understand from that point, but so obviously OpTic's a winning organization. They want to win.
Yeah.
But I think if anyone that's an OpTic fan that's like just drop Kenny and pick someone up like right away, I'm like, that is absolutely ridiculous. Like it's not even like we're playing the long game here. Like, okay, what, you're gonna get rid of Kenny and now Kenny's gonna go to I don't know, a way better team and you just lost that talent and then now who are you gonna pick up?
Right.
Like I said. And there's no point. This format sucks. So I understand why people are asking for a change, but this team literally won a world championship last year. And also, Kenny was the guy that clutched a round 11 against Thieves, and it was like a 1v2. And
Yeah.
now people are calling for his head. Like, come on.
Yeah, these people suffer from short-term memory loss. I
Yeah.
mean, they just again, whenever there's one thing that goes wrong, these are the same people that like I'm sure they're like this in life. When one thing in their life goes wrong, they blame everything else. You know
Hmm.
what I mean? Or they just immediately like, nope, got to make a change. It's like, dude, how about you sit down and figure this out? You
Yeah.
know, and like that's what they got to do. Like they're all professionals; they'll get it together. Um, and if they don't, like, say, like, if they played, I don't really think it's going to happen, but say they just play horrendous through all of Major 2 and they pretty much get dead last in Major 2, even still, I'm not thinking about changing that team.
Hmm.
Like, I think that's which maybe to some people is crazy, but again, it's all to your point. Like, what do you do? Like the only change that they could ever do that I think would make sense is if like they'd have to go and bring Hook back and go back to what they had, you
Hmm.
know? Because again, who are they gonna get that is gonna jump in that spot that would be a worthwhile change? Really nobody, you
Hmm.
know? And all those teams are like that at the top. The only way that any moves are gonna happen that are worthwhile is amongst like Thieves, OpTic, and FaZe. And Thieves and FaZe are absolutely not gonna change. So like if OpTic was ever thinking that, they're pretty much like SOL on that.
Yeah. And
Um,
that, dude, that team in general, OpTic's not making a change.
nah,
I said that. I mean, I thought they wouldn't pick Pred back up, but clearly, like they didn't have a problem with him, as he
right,
stated,
right.
and like I mean, they're all brothers. They won together, so they're gonna figure it out. It's not like I'd be very shocked if two or three of them were like, "No, we got to get rid of this person or
Uh,
whatever."
Yeah, I
After
would be
after
too.
after they know what they can do, because I mean, last year they struggled too, and then they ended up winning champs. And yeah, OpTic hasn't looked the best since Major One. Ever since they came back from Major One, they haven't looked that good.
Right,
But they did a they made a roster change, and like Kenny's just been playing bad this split. I mean,
right.
there's not much else, but I don't think you make a change. It's not like OpTic is the Falcons. No offense to the Falcons, but that team is trying to do everything they can and just keep making roster changes, and it's not working.
Yeah, I still don't understand them. I mean, they played Boston and then they
Yeah,
played Thieves, right?
Thieves. Yeah, Thieves just
I
ran
mean,
through
yeah.
them.
But even still though, like I think Falcons didn't they took a map off of Thieves. Didn't they take the
Yeah,
search?
yeah.
It like
They're good.
kind of cooked them. Like it was like a
Yeah,
6-1 or a 6-2 if I'm not mistaken. It
yeah.
was
They're
somewhere
good at
around there.
search.
I
They're
know, and
they're
that's
good at
what
search,
but
but they
but you
can't
can't
win.
win
Yeah,
series off of searches though.
you need
Like,
you need to win a respawn. Like
I
you can't
know.
rely on a Neslo every time. Which
Yeah,
for people that don't know what a Neslo is, it's winning map 2, 3, 5. So you win two searches and then the control. But
right.
you have to win a respawn.
Right, and they just can't do that. I think, CDL Intel put out that they were like they were funny. They put out like, "Oh, there's 16 losses in hard points in a row." Like, that's how many they've lost, and then they played, Thieves, 17 hard. I'm
Oh,
like,
yeah.
"Yeah." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Jesus Christ." Yeah, um, they can't put it together in
Mhm.
there, and that's really just gonna be the downfall of that team, and it's really sad because, again, they seem like, at times, one of the best search teams in the game, you know? I mean, shit, dude, beating Thieves at search like
Mhm.
that, you know? I'm sure Thieves would, clap back and be like, "Oh, dude, we played bad. Like, we were not doing the right
Yeah.
things and stuff." It's
They
like, but
they
still,
did,
man,
but
for legit like undeniable worst team in the league to be able to do that to Thieves and Surge, like again, they've got it. And I think that's correct me if I'm wrong, isn't that because that's really what they play mainly over there? Like that's the scene in
yeah,
Saudi
yeah.
Arabia is
They
like
don't
it's big S&D.
I mean, in general, I feel like outside of competitive COD, if you're coming into competitive COD, everyone just plays S&D
Right.
because, it's more strategic and, a lot of people don't like to play Respawn Hardpoint because
Yeah.
in their eyes, and a lot of people, like, it's not a challenge because you have more than one life.
Right.
Clearly, it's a
It's
skill.
a challenge.
Respawn
Yeah.
is definitely a skill.
Right.
Um, where, with S&D, like we all know, like you make one mistake, it could cost like your life and the entire round.
Right.
Um,
Right.
but yeah, I mean, Falcons, I don't know what they're gonna do. They really could go all year without winning any series, but I thought they were gonna win a control against Thieves. They were up like 14-7 in lives,
Right.
and Thieves were attacking. They capped A, and they just had B. And I was like, oh, it's like, the Falcons can do it. They're up 7 lives. They're good. And then
Right.
Envoy gets them to top art, I believe, and he just gets 3 right off spawn, and then 2 hop on the B point, and Envoy's just watching the cross, watching everyone run back in. And he was like, you know what? Screw it. I'm hopping out and I'm hopping on the point. Triple stack this and they win.
Yeah.
And they just had lives. I'm like, how does that even happen? And first off, when he popped 3, the 3 weren't even looking at him. He got 1. As soon as that one person dies, like you would expect a call out, hey, Envoy's top art.
Right.
And then he gets the second one. The second one's not even looking at him.
Yeah.
So he dies. And then surely you would think the third person is already looking at him and shooting. And then the third dies, like not even looking.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I'm not a professional, but when you see stuff like that, I'm like, this is pups. I would be
Right.
so mad.
Yeah, well, that's the whole story with them, is when they're playing these matches and doing these things, it's really just, such basic mistakes that they make. Um, and I don't know what that comes down to. I don't know if that's like a lack of, knowledge of the game mode itself, like you're saying, just things that, I mean, we've been playing those modes forever. And again, we're not professionals, but there's some fundamentals there that it's like, damn,
You got to
like you're
call
in the
that out.
CDL,
Yeah.
like, dude, how do you not
Yeah.
know that shit? Um, but yeah, I don't know. Like you mentioned it before, like thinking they're not going to win. I mean, dude, if they keep it up like this, there's just no chance. I don't know when and if it's going to click for them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, I don't know if there's going to come a point where they finally put it together and they're like, oh, dude, we know how to go and play S&D. Like we finally have it figured out. Or sorry, play in hardpoint. Like we get the idea of how to play the mode. Same thing with playing control. Like, they've just got it down. I it's been the same since we first saw them where they're not playing these matches always like insanely close. Or if they are, it's like right at the last minute they choke and then they just make these dumb mistakes. It's like, dude, like you were right there,
Yeah, you're right there. And then you
Like,
just, people want this team to win. Just,
oh yeah,
you know, and I really don't think they're gonna win, which is crazy. Like
sad.
what right now, they're last. They don't have any points. And
Yeah.
the crazier thing is that like LAG, we can talk about them for a bit later, but LAG they have 20 points. So it's
Right.
not like Falcons are completely out of the 11th spot,
Right.
but yeah, it's just nuts. They're 0 and what? I'm gonna 0 and
Yeah.
11,
Yeah. I
dude.
mean, bro.
That's just demoralizing,
Oh yeah. I just again, I don't know how you do it. You know.
especially with
It,
all the roster changes too. Like you're just cycling through players, and the fact that they're cycling through players and they're still winning the searches,
right.
like that's a good sign. But you need to close a respawn. You have to
Yeah.
close a respawn.
Right. Dude, that stat 6 and 33 for like map
Map
wins.
count, yeah,
Yeah, bro. And those are all searches. That's it.
yeah, yeah.
I don't think they've won a control.
Uh,
Maybe they have.
maybe one. Actually, maybe one. I think
Mm,
they've won one.
yeah,
I want to say it was against the Ravens,
right. Because
but
who knows what happened? Maybe Vivid's eye was exploded that time or something, bro.
yeah,
Like, yeah, I
but
I don't know, man. I feel bad for that team. And it's sad because as a viewer, I don't watch those games at all. Like, I should go back because the Breach Falcons game, I didn't even watch it. Like
yeah,
I just, I mean, granted I was busy, but I was like, oh, I don't need to see that. Like I know Boston's gonna win it. And then
yeah,
they went 3-1 them. I'm like, yep, there you go.
yeah. It
Like,
should have been a 3-0.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, I should know. There you go, right?
yeah,
They won, they beat him in the control. There you go. That's what we're
yeah.
talking about, right? Yeah, because I think they went
Oh
up
yeah,
2 right? They went up
yeah,
2-0
yeah.
and then there you go. So
They
hard
scammed.
point is exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that match, there's really nothing to talk about with Boston. It was just, you know, I'm happy to see that they have a 2-0 start right now. Um, but it's just kind of the deal of like, well, what they're playing
Hmm.
is so. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
they went and played Falcons, which a lot of people don't really put a lot of stock into that. And then they played LAG,
Hmm.
which, like you just mentioned, LAG is they're the worst team, barring Falcons.
Hmm.
But even still, that was a close match. I mean,
It went
uh,
around map 5.
yeah, Map
I
5.
mean,
Yeah, I
it
mean,
it shouldn't have.
right,
Yeah.
right. But man, Gorillas are just one of those teams. I don't understand that. I don't know what happened to those players. Um, it's wild to see Kismet, who was just, he was a world champ, but is a world champ, on subliners and just taking over. And now that team just, man, it makes me sad, like to see
Yeah.
all those guys on that team
Well,
that are good and they just can't put it together.
I think I mean, Kid is he's still the best player on that team. Like
Yeah,
he's
no doubt.
still performing, but that experiment, I guess, of the New York subliners, that trio,
And Linz, yeah.
like yeah, with Priesta, Skies, and Kiz, like that's clearly not working. And people have said it that they just when you watch them on the map, they play too scared. That
Mhm.
they play way too fundamental and they don't take risks and try to make a play,
Yeah,
which in most recent CODs, especially in this one with the Omni movement, like you just gotta go, just
right,
go and do it. And it's crazy because like Priesta, everyone's calling for him, right? Like Priest is probably the odd man out on that team right now, and he's had back to back like really bad years, probably like the worst time like in his entire career.
right,
Priesta used to be like a top prospect in the league, like by a bunch of teams, and now he's just at the bottom, and people are asking for him to leave. Which I mean, I understand he's not playing the best, but then like you look at Skies, dude. Skies has always been that AR player that's clutching S&Ds like all the time, but it's just not working in this game for him. Like I really don't think this game fits him.
yeah.
So I mean, yeah, that team definitely needs to make a roster change. They probably need to get rid of like at least two, but who knows if they're actually going to do that.
Right. I mean, that's a situation where I think that team needs to get rid of those players and they need to take a chance on challengers, you
Mhm,
know, because you're so low in the standings right now where like someone like OpTic, I mean, that could be devastating to make risky change like that. And because those guys are so storied, you know, like Priesta was good a while ago
mhm.
now, like unfortunately, I mean, what was it? MW2 was when he won champs. Is that what it
Yeah,
was?
yeah,
Yeah. So it's like we've had a few games since then. And like you said, last year in MW3, it was like a really, really tough year for him. And then this year, same thing. It was tough. Um, and yeah, I think where that team is, they need to go and look at these, like, I don't know, like if you get rid of like the two I'm thinking is Linz um, and Priesta,
Mhm.
I think you'd be crazy to get rid of Kiz and, um, Skies. I think those
Yeah.
guys are just like they're two story, and then again, like you said, they are doing well. Like
Mhm.
they especially Kismet. But I think Skies needs someone there. Like he needs a Hydra or just needs some player to kind of enable him.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I think, and I hope that they do make a move because right now they're just they look so bad, you
Yeah.
know? And that's like their whole I can't even I wonder what their record is. It's not getting anywhere near to what it was with Boston, but they are like we've handed the baton off to them, bro. Like they are the game 5 merchants. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
every game they go to is game 5, like the vast
Mhm.
majority of them, and then they lose, you know?
Yeah. I
And
mean, yeah, go.
no, and it's
Uh,
like and the question is like, what do you do? Do you like they're right there, so it's like, okay, they've got the potential to get there, but they can't close. So do you
mhm.
stick with them and try to get that last bit of coaching and like play in and fix those mistakes to get there, or are you saying, if you can't get there, like at the end, forget it.
Yeah. I mean, Priest has been back to back years, man. Like he can't catch a break. He went from the worst team in the league last year on Boston to the second worst team in the league now.
Right, right,
And yeah, I mean, I think for sure Kiz is safe. Like I think he's the only safe one on that team right now.
yeah,
The only reason why I don't think uh Skies is safe is because LAG Gentlemates, it's a French organization technically right now.
true,
So like do they keep Linz like because he's French
right.
and they
No, that's
try to
true.
keep that and they keep those two sub players and they get rid of Priest and Skies. Um I don't know. I know this guy Lunars. His name has been thrown around a lot. He's an AR in challengers. I have no idea who he is. Apparently he's really good and like he could help out like, a team that needs an AR.
Yeah.
And that would be insane if he came to LAG and Skies is gone. And yeah, they keep Risa and I don't know, maybe that team works. Who knows? But then having Skies as a free agent,
He'd get picked
he's
up.
yeah, he would. Like, but it's just I don't know. It's crazy. So that experiment with those three guys from New York, obviously, like it's just not working this year. They need to do something.
Yeah, I think the duo of Skies and Kiz, I think that'll still be a duo that like it may stick around depending on like you said who ends up getting dropped. If those two ended up staying on that team, that wouldn't really shock me. But you do have a valid point about Linz. Um, which dude is what I'm saying though. Fuck that. Like
Yeah, yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
you know what I
yeah.
mean? Like, but again, like the viewership, like those games are really highly viewed. You
Hmm.
know, but again, it's like, bro, look what Falcons are doing. They're doing this shit and they're dead last. Like both you
Yeah,
two teams who are like focused on, oh, we have a French player as a French team. I'm like,
yeah.
yeah, look where it got you.
Hmm.
Like you ain't winning anything,
Yeah, they're
you
like
know?
they're really hoping Linz is like a mini Hydra, and
Right. No
it's like
pressure.
yeah, no pressure at all for that guy. And
Yeah.
in MW3, he looked great. Like that,
Right.
there are moments, but he needs the right like players around him to like look
Right.
good. But I mean, that's with any player, right? But
Well, look at Hydra right now.
yeah, yeah, and but this is the thing, like Hydra was able to succeed with those three guys like around him because
Yeah.
they like let him do that.
Right.
Not every player can do that. Like
That's
Priest
true.
is one of those players where he needs, the team around him so then
Hmm.
he looks really good. And every single player has that pop off ability, but obviously there are players that are more likely going to pop off and consistent every single match.
Right.
So, and Linz right now is definitely not one of them. And it takes all four players, especially in this game. It does not take just one.
Yeah, I mean, and that was like we talked about in the last episode. That was the deciding moment with the Thieves and FaZe grand finals match. I mean, Hydra just had a bad game, and that's kind of what it came down to. I mean, he's too hard on himself
Mhm.
in that. But I'm kind of saying, what he was feeling. It's like, dude, you have one player who's struggling, and that really could be the difference between, winning a championship. You have to be all dialed in and all on the same page and supporting each other.
Mm,
Um, and yeah, you're just not getting that from those teams at the bottom. I mean, that's really the deciding factor between the best teams and the worst teams. Um, but I mean, dude, like seeing Vancouver go in and take Neptune,
mhm,
and like, come on, man. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, they take a chance on him, like, like a real chance. Like Neptune was doing, I think he was like running challengers.
mhm.
Um, and played in the league before, I think for
Played
what
with
were
New
they?
York.
Yeah, he played
Played
with New
with New
York, and
York,
then I
played with
thought he
Miami,
yeah, Miami,
or
yeah.
the
What were they
Mutineers.
before? Yeah, Florida Mutineers.
Yeah,
Rest in peace to that brand.
yeah.
Yeah, like, so he'd been in there before, um, but I don't ever remember him being, like, filthy, Like,
No,
I
it's, he was Krim was saying that this guy couldn't throw a nade.
Yeah, right, right, that was him.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
that was
remember
him,
that.
yeah. He was like, "This guy can't even throw a
Yeah,
nade."
I remember that was on that
And
D-Real podcast. Dude, he
yeah,
couldn't.
yeah, and then they got rid of him. And then he went
Yeah,
to Mutineers and um, he I mean, he did alright, but I swear it's the Omni movement. Like, because he played Halo. He
right,
was from Halo, tried out COD, and went back to Halo because he wasn't doing that well in COD. Did well in Halo, and now he's back on COD. I
right.
swear it's these Halo kids in the Omni movement. They just I mean, because Halo, you got jetpacks and stuff, and you can like strafe. So this probably feels insane for him. Like it must feel so fluid.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure it does. Yeah, I think you're right on that. This game is definitely it's definitely making, like, certain players, like, or suiting them really well is what I was trying to
Mhm.
say. Someone like him, coming in and doing that with FaZe, like, I wouldn't say he was the whole reason that they won that match,
Yeah.
but that team does work well with him, and he played well too, you know? Um, and yeah, same thing with, like, Simp and Abizi. I mean, dude, they seem to be just on it this
Mm.
game. Like, they're doing really, really well. Um and yeah, it is the Omni movement that's helping some of these guys out. So some of these players that have been in challengers and maybe haven't done well in the past, it's like, dude, these people should be looking at look at their Cold War stats. If they were playing
Mhm.
back then, it's like, dude, they might be solid on this game, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and
Or
like
like you're saying, the Halo kids, pick them up, dude, if they want to play COD.
no, yeah, literally. Like, I think what I like about the Surge is that they could have stuck around with Hixie on the team
Yeah,
because I mean they're doing all right. It's not like they're a great team or anything, but they could have worked through it. But they knew that let's just make the change now. Let's get Neptune because we know it's going to be either we're going to be the same or it's going to be an upgrade.
right.
And obviously, I mean, right now it's just been a weekend, but it's been an upgrade for them. It's helped them out a lot.
Yeah,
So yeah, I mean, there's a point to where I know we're kind of contradicting ourselves because people are like, "Well, why don't you drop Kenny?" I'm like, "No, that is very, very different. Two different situations. You can't just drop Kenny. All right, who are you going to pick up after that? Like, no shade against Hixie, but like dropping Hixie for Neptune, it's kind of like a swap. Like you don't know what you're going to get out of Neptune yet, right? So
right.
that's why I'm saying that they're either going to be the same or they're going to get better. There's not really a major risk there. Whereas you drop Kenny, it's like, all right, you just dropped a guy that beats OpTic like every single year for whatever reason.
Right.
And now you're going to let him go to another team that, could potentially like be better. I mean, probably will be better with him. So it's a very different situation.
Yeah, I mean, you know what you're gonna get out of Kenny. Like you've seen the potential from him, right? And it's also too like where he's like what team he plays for.
Mhm,
Like Optic's not fighting for top four, like they're fighting for championships.
mhm.
And it's like, someone, well, aren't all the teams? Yeah. But okay,
Yeah.
be realistic though. Like there's really only a handful of teams that can really win or have an actual shot at winning a major. And Optic is definitely one of them. If they take a chance on someone like that from challenges, I mean, that's a huge risk.
Mhm.
Um, And, like, the perfect example of that is when back in, MW2, when they picked up Dan Ghosty, I
Mhm.
remember everybody was like,
Oh,
"What?
wow. Yeah.
Who is this guy?" Like, bro, he's on the Boston Challengers team, and they picked him up. I mean, like, that was mental because OpTic never does that, you know? It's
Mhm.
like they're literally one of, if not the well, yeah, they're one of the best teams. Taking a chance on a challengers player for them is ridiculous. Um, but it worked out for him.
Yeah.
Obviously,
It
like,
worked. Yeah.
he was they did their research or they got really lucky, and he
Mhm.
was great. And now he's playing on Thieves,
Yeah.
and he's definitely like going to be a pro that's going to be around for a long time. Um, but yeah, you don't like when you're at that level, you're not taking major risks like that. Like you're taking like very calculated moves. Like having Hook on there, it's like, bro, people know what you're gonna get out of Hook.
Mhm.
He's a world champ. He's been playing for a long time. There's really not many questions about him.
Mhm.
Or like, oh, we're gonna go pick up Neptune. If you're Optic, that's like
Yeah.
that could be good or it could be really bad.
Yeah. Yeah. The chances of them being better are a lot lower than,
Yeah, yeah,
like, who has history with them. And
right,
yeah, like, I get that Dan Ghosty pickup was insane. I remember when they did that. And I mean, it almost worked out for them. Like, they played really well. They almost won a major with him, which would have
right,
been insane. But yeah, it obviously really benefited him. And uh, I wonder how he is like on Thieves now. Like, if because supposedly, like, they dropped him because of how he acted and stuff,
right,
and like it just didn't fit the culture at times. So
right,
I mean, now he's on Thieves, and obviously they're like 1 and 2 in the league right now. So
right.
and
Yeah,
Ghosty came from Boston. We've
yeah,
let go a lot of good players.
yeah. We have over the years for sure.
It
Yeah, it
sucks.
is sad. But no, those are guys though, like, kinda closing on this whole thing, man, like, those guys, like a Dan Ghosty, he's very similar to a Scrap in that these guys are known as, like, really good challengers players, and
Mhm.
I'm sure, like, Doug went and vouched for Dan and other people being like, "Dude, this guy's insane." Like, he's a really, really good player, not just
Mhm.
like, "Oh, he's some former pro that's been doing well," or whatever. Like, these guys have a lot of merit behind them. And yeah, that's the level that you have to be at for a team like when they were really insane ultra and for Optic to take a chance. There's no way they're going to really take a chance on some unknown entity, any
Mhm.
of those top teams, unless like another Scrap comes out of nowhere. Some kid who's like 18 years old and
Mhm.
is cracked out of his mind, and it's like the pros watch him and they're like, "Damn, this guy's really good."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, they're just not going to make a move. So yeah, I don't think Optic, obviously they're playing nowhere where they want to. But there's no chance that they make a change. I'm calling it now. I think,
Yeah.
yeah, we're to episode 211. Justin Kenny's gone.
Yeah, dude.
I Yeah, I just don't see them changing at all. I think they're going to
Yeah.
stick it out. I think this is going to be the roster for the rest of the year.
Yeah. I agree with you. And a side note, I was just thinking about like the talent that came out of this Boston organization in general. Like we got Dan Ghosty, who's in the league. We got
Hmm.
Nero. I was really upset when we got rid of
Sad.
Nero,
Rest in peace.
and
Loved
he's
him.
been frying.
Yep.
Kremp too. Kremp is also in the league. He is frying. Um, and luckily we kept Snoopy.
Thank God.
Everyone
You
like
can't let him go, bro.
yeah, we can't let him go. Luckily, you know, we've held on to him, and I know people were like, Snoopy isn't like it, but I mean, in this game, he is the guy. He's like a mini
Right.
Shotzzy. He's
And
nasty.
And there's guys too that we've let go that have been on their teams and they're not in just yet. Like, so I don't follow him as much, but like Capsule,
Yeah.
I wonder about. Like, he's had a very up and down career, unfortunately. The guy has like potential pop off,
Mhm.
but yeah, I don't know what's gonna happen with him. And then I was happy too, like, Awakening's been doing well.
Mhm.
When he was with us, I think the first time he was struggling a lot. But same thing, like when he first joined the league, he was really good on that what was it? I keep
Florida
yeah, I
Meteors.
keep wanting to say Miami, yeah.
Yeah.
But when he was on that team in, 2019, he was really good. And yeah, he's just been up and down, but now, like, this game, he's found his footing and he seems to be
Mhm.
doing well. So, I'm excited for them. I mean, this is a good roster, like, like, jumping off of Optic into Boston, like, I was happy with the wins, of course. Like, it's a good 2-0 start. But I want to see them face like some of these other top teams because that's really where they need their practice. I
Yeah.
don't think it's a question of them beating these lower teams anymore. I think it's now like, okay, can we beat Carolina? Can we beat Ultra? Um, I think that's where the real test is for them.
Mhm. Yeah,
But we'll
because
see.
they're definitely a mid-pack team, like,
Yeah, no doubt.
definitely, and I feel very confident, like, compared to last year at least, way more confident if they're facing, honestly, like, an OpTic or, like, a C9 or, Ultra or even Ravens, and Ravens,
Right.
technically, they're, like, statistically, I think they're a top 3 team right now,
Yeah.
and I feel pretty confident every time they uh, play against those guys. So
Right. Same.
they just need to close it out. I mean, now if they're going up against FaZe and Thieves, that's really different. I like you said, I really think those two teams are just out of this like league right now. They're just very far ahead, and I like how those two teams they're just starting to call out, other players on teams with like they don't watch VOD, they don't do any of
Right.
this stuff, so this is why they're not good enough.
Right.
Um, I do like that. Like I like the drama that's in the scene so far. But
Yeah, I do too.
I'll say this year's just been it's been very competitive. It's been a weird year so far with like um how the teams are, how the players, the roster changes, things like that.
Yep.
Um and people just don't care anymore about like GAs. They like talk about the new meta supposedly, but people just aren't listening to stuff. And I was watching Zuma's watch party, and I think it was Vivid someone, I think Vivid snaked or something like that. And they're all like, I don't know if this was a snake. According to Scrap, it was a snake. And then Octane was like, but no one gives a fuck, right? And Zuma
Right.
was like, yeah, yeah, you know what? Why do we care? It doesn't matter. I'm like, what the heck is happening? Like, I feel like this year no one cares. Like, it doesn't matter.
Well, Dave talked about it before, and I know you watch the same stuff as me on it. They're so inconsistent with this stuff, like how
Oh
to be
yeah.
able to regulate or how to be able to like dish out punishments and figuring out like I remember watching that there was an episode with it was Sam and Parasite, but they were going at it, talking about things like,
Mhm.
oh, in this situation, like this kind of a deal. And Octane was just like, what the fuck are we talking about here,
Yeah.
dude? Like, are you kidding me? And Chris like, no, no, hear me out. I'm like, and I'm with Sam. I'm like, dude, it's just so ridiculous. They can't figure this shit out
Mm.
like consistently because they just I don't know, they don't put enough time into actually like coming up with these rules, or it's people start bitching and it's like these what if
Yeah,
situations,
yeah.
you
No,
know
no
and
one cares. Like the league isn't professional enough. Like a lot of the
right,
players, like I know there are plenty of professional players, but they just don't want to do it. Like they don't care.
right,
They show
right,
up for work, they shoot their gun, they win, and they leave. That's
right,
all they care about, and like getting paid. Like and um who I was watching the an OpTic podcast. It was when PRED like came back, and Shotzi was like, "Oh yeah, we got blacklisted and we just didn't scrim for a day." And
right,
he was like, "What? That's bullshit." And he was like, "Oh, it's kind of nice. Like I just had the day off." I'm like, "That's crazy." That the fact that like I mean to them, and it's probably nice. Like they did get a day off, but it doesn't matter to them.
right.
Like like it doesn't. There's no punishment that's severe enough. There's no like accountability with any of this stuff. No one cares. It's just a free for all. So if I'm a player at this point, I'd be like, well, who cares?
Right.
Like, what's the point of listening to anything if the punishment is all right, we're not gonna scrim you. Like, okay.
The only way that it could really matter is either if they're, like, significantly financially impacted,
Yeah.
where it's like if something like that happens, then you have to pay, like, $1,000 or something
Yeah.
like that, um, or if it was a case of, like, if you are like, you are found caught doing that stuff, then, like I mean, it would never happen, but, like, you lose a CDL point, like, a
Mhm.
point. you know? Like, that stuff then would, like, maybe
That
encourage
would
people,
matter.
yeah, it would
Yeah.
motivate people a lot more because now it's like, "Oh, dude, this stuff's actually affecting, like," we could be breaking stuff and be losing multiple points or losing money.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, like, are they gonna do that? Probably not, because it's the same shit of, like, I wrote in there about the Vaznev, like, all that stuff being banned off of it,
Mhm.
like, they banned all the muzzles, fire mods, and barrels, and it's just ridiculous. It's like, where does this stuff end? Like, who are these people that are all agreeing on this stuff?
Dude,
And, like,
yeah.
they're making all these crazy changes when they still can't figure out things like we've been talking about, like how to be able to punish people or how to be
Mhm.
able to identify, like, if you're snaking or breaking a GA.
Mhm.
Um, it's a complete joke.
Yeah, and the so, at first, right, like, the first rumors that I saw about, like, banning muzzles and stuff, it was off the Jackal, and I'm like, "Are you fucking serious? Like, what are we doing here?" Because
Right,
people are convinced that the Jackal is, like, it's just significantly better, and I'm like, at this point, like, who cares? Like,
right,
I they're just keep it the meta that it is right now. Like, you don't
right,
need to go and, like, change everything, and,
right.
um now, like, I'd supposedly, like, the C9 or MP5 is being experimented, and Parasite has been pushing it too, and he's like, "This gun's actually really good," and don't get me wrong, it is good,
Right.
but it takes a few more bullets to kill, and obviously, the ARs, like, want that because, they won't get ripped, but nah, dude, the C9 compared to the Jackal is garbage. It's not comparable at
Oh,
all.
it's not even close. Yeah.
Yeah, not close at all. Like, Jackal is so much better, and, the ARs are probably gonna make the argument that, "Well, that's what we need." I'm like, "Dude, I'm not siding with the subs or the ARs here, but like, on certain maps, like, you just see, people running way more ARs than
Right, right.
subs,
You do.
and these maps are significantly smaller in, like, recent history.
Right.
So, these ARs are ripping way more than subs, and,
Yeah, and
like,
then they
why
go
are
and they
we
get rid of that stuff, and it's just
Yeah.
it's so stupid. Yeah, I don't understand it. I mean, again, the whole idea, like, they're trying to balance it out,
Mhm.
but then they go and do moves like that, and like you said, a lot of these people are like, "Oh, yeah, we're just living in an AR world here," like,
Mhm.
nothing really is getting done about the ARs, and now you're seeing on some of those maps, like, they're doing 4 ARs,
Yeah.
because you can, and it's like, "Dude, come on, throw us
Yeah,
a
yeah.
little bit." Yeah, like you said, dude, they wanna go to the C9, like, that might be the new thing, uh, you know, but then you wait, and then they're gonna find some build that's, like, insane on the C9,
Mhm.
and then they're gonna ban that, be like, "Oh, no, that's too broken now." It's like, "Dude, give me a break,"
Yeah,
you
and
know?
Octane Octane and Zuma go back and forth, and they're like, "What gun was that, Sam? What gun was that, Tommy?" Like,
Right, right,
if it
right, right,
and, I think Tommy made the argument that, he's obviously on the side that subs are or no, that ARs are way better than subs, and Sam vice versa. And Tommy brought up, well, Sam, they're using 4 ARs or, on this map, or there's like 6 or 7 ARs right now on this map.
right,
And Octane was like, "Oh, so okay, so we're using maps as an example. Like, it's uh on different maps you use different weapon classes." That's
right,
true. But this game, these maps are significantly smaller.
right.
And the fact that these ARs can rip like that quickly is insane to me.
Like, are
And
you seeing any maps where there's, like, 6 or 7 jackals on the map? Like, no.
exactly. Yeah.
No, you're not.
Yeah.
So fuck them.
Yeah, like, I don't know.
Yeah,
That point makes sense, like, does make sense because depending on the map, you're gonna use an AR or sub, but
right.
why how come on, like, Skyline, like, sometimes we'll see 6 or 7 ARs.
Which is mental,
You can yeah, you can make the argument, "Oh, like, you're overlooking the pool, you're looking over into piano." I'm like, "Okay, okay," like,
Yeah, but how
but
about we actually have, gunfights, like, close up, though, you
yeah,
know?
yeah,
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, you need to be playing a certain way too. Like, Simp and Abizi they run jackals on that map,
yeah,
but they're, like, in your face. Like, you have to play that way because if you don't play that way, um, you're gonna get absolutely shredded because the ARs are so good. You know,
Mhm,
that's where I think on that, like they just need to like if they go and add more maps into the map pool, then they may be able to, it may help with the meta being a bit more balanced out because like you said, there's a lot of maps because of how they are built for this game that you can get away with, predominantly an AR setup. And
mhm,
it's like it's just kind of boring. You want to see a lot more action. You want to see it to be more split, but you
mhm.
can't.
Yeah, and I mean, if they're gonna not nerf, but like ban or GA the Jackal, then okay, we should just look at banning or GAing like the aims or
Right.
just use another AR or something.
Right.
I don't know, but again, to a casual person, this is probably nonsense because what people want to know is when you load up into ranked, what are we using? None of these
Right.
GAs that are like, oh, well, you're using this. Like, well, what if this person doesn't watch the CDL consistently? Or what if this person isn't on Twitter, just scrolling and trying to keep up with everything?
Well, yeah, and that's the thing now with like in ranked, is like they're making these changes and
Mhm,
people probably playing are like, what the fuck? Like, there's people who probably play ranked, I'm sure, who don't watch the CDL, and now these changes are being made,
mhm.
and they're not following that right now in the CDL, but um, like, are they eventually going to like when we get to like some other split where they're going to be playing and they're going to be using a C9, like a C9 model L meta? Like, bro, that would be crazy.
Yeah,
Like I
yeah.
said, they get rid of the aims, like, dude, it'd be ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, personally, I'd be really upset if they switched that, got
Me
rid of the
too.
Jackal and went to the C9. The C9's just not as consistent.
No,
Like,
not at
it
all.
it is significantly worse than the
Yeah, no
Jackal,
doubt.
and it will not rip, in aims. It just won't. And people
Yeah,
can argue, well, a sub shouldn't do that from range. I agree, but if you're a Bees or Simp or Cell and your thumb doesn't move, and they're trying an AR, you need to be a better
right,
AR. Like, I don't know what to
right,
tell
right,
you.
right. Facts.
Like,
That's all you gotta do.
yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is. It's unfortunate that this stuff happens, and it's like even in the years going on here, like in the second split, they're still trying to make these changes. I hope they make the right ones, and they just. I don't know. Again, I like the way the game is now. I don't really think
Just
it's that big of a deal. I don't think they need to be doing anything crazy. I do hope that they add more maps to the map pool as we go on. Like hopefully, grind will make its way in when it gets added.
mhm.
Um, but time will tell, Justin, if we see in Major 3 we're gonna have C9s in there because if we do, bro, I think it's gonna
Yeah.
suck.
Imagine they make the change now into Major 2.
Yeah. Oh,
Dude,
bro.
that would
Yeah.
that would
We're
suck.
watching Major 2 with Simp and Beezy running around with C9s. Get out of here, bro. I don't want to
Yeah.
watch that.
Yeah, just keep it how it is, like, I
Yes,
feel like this
exactly.
year has just been just a bunch of childish shit. Like, no one
Yeah.
wants to take responsibility for anything. The league's falling apart, and people are like, "You know what? Snake, I don't care.
Right.
Doesn't matter." You know?
As long as like we're getting, dude, the competition is good, so we'll fucking take it. Like
Yeah, yeah.
the games are close. I'm enjoying it there. Yeah, everything else is a complete shit show, but whatever.
Yeah, these pros, like, no one wants to, like, stand up, and I mean, I kinda understand because
Right.
Slasher, for example, he's always someone who tries to stand up for this stuff, and then, like, he gets no response, and he's like,
Yeah.
"Well,
Screw it.
I'm just not gonna try anymore."
Why bother?
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
that's not good. Like you said, I think there needs to be a fine. Like, if it impacts a person individually or the team, then people will care, like, a
Right.
lot more.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's the only way you could do it. But once again, can you get everybody to agree on that?
Well, no, yeah,
Or it
probably
has to be,
not.
or does the league just step in and say this is
That's what I'm
what it's
saying.
going to be?
The league has to do that, and the league ain't doing shit because
Right.
they don't have the
They,
funds for it. Like,
right.
the
Right.
is it
Right.
worth it for them?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no, keeping up the integrity of all the players, they don't care right now.
Right.
Yeah,
So
we can't even get our scoreboard fixed, man.
I
Well,
know,
that's
right?
like a
Right.
Treyarch thing,
We can't
but
do any. Yeah.
it's yeah, competition's
It,
great. Everything else is broken.
leave it at that.
Yeah, yeah,
Watch the
um,
CDO.
yeah. The last thing that you got, like, quick, they're adding this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle collaboration
Oh yes,
into
this is
COD.
dope.
Yeah, I do like this. This is it's cool. It's gonna see a bunch of turtles run around.
Yeah, I think this is one of the cooler collabs that they've done in recent years. I think
Mhm,
this just hits for all like you and me, like the people that are in our age bracket who grew up watching that.
mhm,
Um, it's just gonna be dope. I think it's cool. And especially like I said, some of the other collaborations they do, like design wise, they're really cool. But some of them I just don't know what they're from. Like I don't know what they're really referencing, like certain movies or like, characters.
mhm.
I'm like, oh, I don't know. It looks cool. But this one I think is gonna be really I think it's gonna do well.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure it will be.
But $20 though,
I know.
dude. And it's like, dude, do I keep spending?
$20 on
Like,
one turtle too. Like, dude,
yeah.
if you wanna get all 4, $100 easy.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Right. Yeah, dude. It's like, bro, I'm just gonna buy Michelangelo and call it a day if I could,
yeah.
you know? Yeah, I don't know. I can't remember when they said it's gonna get released. But wait, did they say when it was coming out? Do you
I
know?
just saw that it was announced. I don't know if
Yeah, I can't remember if they said it. I want to go see if they put anything about it. Um, because I didn't know if it was gonna come out like during the season two. Um they
Reloaded.
just said they're featuring it. Yeah, it was announced. Yeah, it doesn't I don't think it says anything about when it's coming. It just says it was announced on the 13th.
Mhm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it says coming soon. Thank you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a cool one though. So I'm
Mhm.
looking forward to that. That'll be one that I'll have to consider buying,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know. Deeply
I'll
consider it.
I'll think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, that is a cool collab. I'll get, Raphael,
Yeah, yeah,
but
right?
it's yeah. Again, ideally, I'd like to get all 4, but I'm not spending $100. I'm
Yeah, I don't
guessing it's gonna be minimum $100 to get all of them.
which would be mental. Like if that's the case, I'd be so bullshit, you know.
$25 a pop,
Yeah,
or buy all 4.
but if it was all 4 for 20,
Yeah.
then, like, that's mellow, like, I would do that, you know?
Yeah.
But I don't know, we knowing the geniuses, right? Because 'cause they're so smart over at Activision, I
Mhm.
think they might put some sketchy, scummy ways to try to get as much money as they can out of people. So it
Yeah.
might be like a, $10, $15 pop for each of them.
Mhm.
It's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, it comes with their custom calling card and their emblem and their badge for your gun,"
Mhm.
but you gotta buy them all individually. Like, oh, yeah. I'd be so pissed if that was the case, but fuck you guys,
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, and it's probably gonna happen.
Yeah, I
It's like
know, right? That's what I'm saying.
yeah.
It's probably gonna be that way,
Yeah. So,
but
I mean,
we will
it's
see, though.
yeah, cool collab. Um, but yeah, I think that's what we wanna talk about, mainly the split into major 2 so far. CDL's been good. Um, the I'm not trying to end it on, like, bad news, but I did see that the player count of just Black Ops 6 in general just hit another, like, all-time low, like,
Oh, shit.
overall. I
Ah,
was like,
shit.
"Ah, okay. That
Oh, Jesus
again,
Christ.
not good."
Not good, not good.
Not good.
Go play the game. Go play the game. It's good, trust. Just don't
Yeah.
play ranked.
Yeah. Yeah, don't play ranked.
And don't play ranked, but go have fun playing pubs or something like that because it's
Yeah.
good there.
Um, and yeah, seeing that and then, obviously the CDL news, like, everything's just a mess. But
It's tough, but it's good stuff, though. Like I said, we gotta cover it
yeah.
regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you need your day brightened, go and watch the CDL because the matches are good. If you're not
Yeah.
playing the game, just go watch that at least.
Yeah, the matches are good.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think that's it. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
think
guys
so,
are on
bro.
YouTube, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe over there. Leave a comment down below if you think OpTic should drop Kenny or not. And if you say yes, you're wrong.
Yeah,
So
fuck you.
yeah.
Don't watch this anymore,
Yeah.
bro.
Uh,
Straight up.
and we're also on anchor.fm/the COD Casuals. We're on TikTok, Instagram Reels. So if you don't want to listen to the whole thing, we chop it up and put it up over there. And
Mhm.
make sure to follow us on Twitter or X and join the community because that's where we're most active. And leave comments down below on like every
Of
platform too,
course.
because we're always looking. So,
Yeah.
and answer the Spotify poll. I don't know what the
Please.
question is. Maybe it'll be the Kenny thing, but that
Yeah.
if someone actually said yes to that, that's ridiculous. So,
That'll be a test. That'll be a test.
yeah, we'll leave something else.
Yeah.
But
And at
yeah,
the Spotify, 5 stars.
oh yeah, 5 stars
Always.
always. Yeah, but yeah, thank you everyone for listening. This has been episode 210 of the COD Casuals. We're your host Justin,
And I'm Mike.
and we'll see you guys next week.
Take it easy, everybody.
Yeah.